Amadeus makes the experience of travel better for everyone everywhere by inspiring innovation, partnerships, and responsibility to people, places, and planet. Our technology powers the travel and tourism industry, inspiring more open ways of working, more connected ways of thinking, centered around the traveler. Our open platform connects the global travel and hospitality ecosystem, from startups to big industry players and governments too. Together, redesigning the travel of tomorrow. Amadeus, it's how travel works. Visit us to know more, Amadeus.com.
Hello and welcome to the Skift India Travel Podcast, your go-to place for travel, aviation and hospitality news related to India. Today I have with me Stephanie Ware, the Vice President of Aviation Development at London Gatwick Airport. Today with Stephanie, we'll be discussing Gatwick's ambitious plans for expanding its connectivity with India. Stephanie, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to be talking to you because Stephanie, 2 years ago, if you remember, Gatwick had no flights to India, and today you have around 24 weekly Air India flights to, I think, connecting to about 4 cities: Kochi, Amritsar, Ahmedabad, and Goa, right?
Correct.
And next month, of course, you will be adding Bengaluru as well, and that's of course quite a rapid expansion.
It's a huge expansion and one we're very excited about.
Exactly. So, Stephanie, are you in talks with other Indian as well as British carriers to increase frequency on existing routes or to connect more Indian cities to Gatwick?
We absolutely are. So we have continuous conversations with Air India. I think they have huge potential to add even more services than what they have already. We're very, very excited about the launch of Bangalore on the 18th, but there's more that they can do from India into Gatwick. We're also speaking to other carriers that would have the possibility of adding services. It's a priority for us to get Delhi and Mumbai. So we're definitely talking to anyone who could operate those routes.
Yeah, since you mentioned airlines, I would also want you to ask about Indigo, because Indigo recently spoke about its plans to induct the Airbus A350 aircraft, right? And that would probably happen around 2027. But then that would give Indigo the range to fly to London as well. So are you looking to talk to them to fly to Gatwick as well?
We are. I think they would be a really good fit for Gatwick. I think the product that they have, it's really exciting. It's exciting what they're trying to do. And I think Gatwick would be a fantastic fit for them. You know, we are an accessible airport. We're very, very close to London. We have the largest catchment area in London, lots of potential clients for them. Great connectivity into the center of London. And we're a very cost efficient airport as well. If you think about it, we're half the price of Heathrow.
Exactly, and of course, Indigo is a low cost carrier. So if they are looking at reducing costs, of course, that would prove beneficial for them as well. So what is Indigo's reaction?
The conversations have been positive, but again, it's not just with Indigo. So we are speaking with a variety of carriers and we'll continue to do so as fleets change, as airlines, expand their fleet orders. We're very excited to make sure that we are servicing the Indian market fully, making sure that we are tapping into all of that unserved demand that exists today, and excited about all the conversations we have with a variety of carriers that could do that.
And of course, let's not forget that India and the UK have signed an open sky air services agreement in 2017, right? Under which there is no limit on flights between Indian cities, I think, except Bengaluru and Hyderabad, where there's a capacity limit of about 14 flights per week. And of course, Delhi, Mumbai, and Heathrow, there's also a capacity limit of 56 flights per week, but that's being increased to 70. So, Gatwick Airport has said that it aims to double its India flights in 5 years. So what are the main drivers behind this growth target?
So the main drivers between the growth target is the fact that there's a lot of unserved demand today. So there are a lot of people who are having to travel between the UK and London in particular and India indirectly mostly through the Middle East at the moment. And those people could fly directly if there was more capacity put into the market. And it's also just the strength of Gatwick. Gatwick is a growing airport. We are the only airport in the London constrained market with an actual viable plan to grow in the future. So we are the largest and busiest single runway in the world at the moment. But we do actually have 2 runways. One of them is an emergency runway, and we've asked for permission to bring that second runway, the emergency runway, into routine use. So we would become a dual runway operation. If we get that, it will add in a huge amount of capacity and it would allow us to get up to 75 million passengers.
75 million passengers is a huge number.
It's a huge number.
Stephanie, you clearly understand that there's a great demand for flights between India and the UK. Now, do you see that people are more keen on direct flights? Because I'm asking that because, of course, you talked about the Middle Eastern carriers. And some of the Middle Eastern carriers offer these really amazing stopover programs as well, right? If you're flying through Abu Dhabi, you get free hotel. If you're flying to, whether it is Turkey, whether it's Abu Dhabi, whether it's Qatar, and now, even Dubai has come in, like Emirates gives you 1 night or 2 nights stay free. So how do you see this balance between direct and one-stop flights between India and London evolving?
I think there's a place for both of those products, and it depends on who the passenger is and what they're looking to do. So if you are a business person and what you want to do is get to your meeting as quickly as possible, you would prefer to have a direct service. If you are visiting friends and relatives and what you want to do is go see your mother or your grandmother or your aunt or uncle, you would prefer the direct service, right? It massively reduces your travel time. If you are a leisure passenger and what you are looking to do and are attracted by the idea of being able to stay in one of these hubs for a night or two to add a different type of product into your holiday, then that might be attractive to you. So I do think that there is room for both, but a huge amount of the passenger population would prefer to fly direct. It's easier. It's less likely that you'll have issues with your trip, right? If the flight leaves late here, you might not make your connection. It just complicates things. And particularly for passengers, that have reduced mobility or need to make sure that their travel is as seamless as possible, the direct service will always be better.
Absolutely. I think, yes. I mean, if I'm given a choice, and especially India, UK, because it's not a very long flight. It's not an India-US flight as well, right?
No, it's not.
Yeah. So the duration would be, it works well for direct flight. So Stephanie, I see that, we mentioned earlier that, 2 years ago, you had no flights to India and you have about 24 weekly, and then you plan to double that in the next 5 years. So what is the potential that Gatwick sees in India, and what can you talk about? Of course, we've been talking about the Indian outbound demand. Indians are raring to go; they want to travel all the time. So what's the potential that Gatwick sees in the India outbound market?
Well, it's one of the fastest growing populations in the world, and there's huge connections to the UK. So if you think about it, there's almost 2 million population of Indian diaspora in the UK. 1 million of those are living very close to the Gatwick catchment area. We have a really long historical trade relationship as well. The amount of trade between the UK and India has grown. Just in 2023, it was worth almost 40 billion. And that was an increase of 5%. So there's historical ties, there's tourism ties, there's trade ties. And there is this huge kind of diaspora, connection as well of people who want to keep relationships in both countries and travel back and forth to make sure that happens.
Amadeus makes the experience of travel better for everyone everywhere by inspiring innovation, partnerships, and responsibility to people, places, and planet. Our technology powers the travel and tourism industry, inspiring more open ways of working, more connected ways of thinking, centered around the traveler. Our open platform connects the global travel and hospitality ecosystem, from startups to big industry players and governments too. Together, redesigning the travel of tomorrow. Amadeus, it's how travel works. Visit us to know more, Amadeus.com.
Absolutely, and of course, UK is a very popular destination among Indians as well, and we see that the Visit Britain Tourism Board is also very, very active in India. But if we are talking about connectivity, we see a lot of people wanting to fly to Heathrow. But what do you have to say to those people who, because Gatwick is something that not too many Indians would explore?
Well, I think they want to fly to Heathrow because it's what they know, right? It's where the direct flights have always been up until very recently when Air India started in Gatwick. So I think it's really just a lack of knowledge about all of the wonderful things that we offer at Gatwick. So when I go to India, because I travel there quite often, I'm in love with it and go for business quite often. We talk about all of the advantages of Gatwick. So first of all, we are an airport that is focused on ease and efficiency, right? We want our customers, our passengers to have the best journey they can. So the first thing is how close we are to London. We're incredibly close to London and we have phenomenal train connections. So there are trains every 3 minutes that get to central London. So when I say central London, it's zone 1, central London in under 30 minutes. Now, Heathrow offers the Heathrow Express, but that doesn't take you into zone 1 to the most central part of London. Whereas we will get you right into Victoria, right into London Bridge in under 30 minutes. So it's that ease of getting into the best parts of London. First of all. Second of all is all the investment that we've put into our terminals. So we've just done a multi-million pound redevelopment of the train station last year. It makes the train journey even more seamless and even more convenient. It's big, it's modern, it's bright and airy, very well signed. We've just finished a revamping of our North Terminal to make it again, more modern and more befitting of a major international airport. And we've spent a lot of time investing into new retail and food and beverage. So it's really about how can we make sure that the essential parts of the journey in the airport are as seamless as possible, right? You're getting through security. 95% of our passengers get through security in under 5 minutes. That doesn't happen at Heathrow, right?
That's a great incentive. I mean, for someone who's always stuck at immigration queues, I think that's a great incentive.
No one wants to do that. I don't even want to do that. Get through the parts that are necessary and then have a really enjoyable terminal experience where you can shop, or you can see unique products that are only offered at Gatwick, or you can, have a lovely lunch or a nice breakfast. So it's really about that product offering that we have that, get to the airport quickly, one stop on a train, very easily, get through security without a hassle, and then enjoy the experience at the airport. I genuinely think it's just a lack of knowledge. And the more passengers come through and the more people fly on these Air India flights and the more they experience all of the benefits of Gatwick, the more likely they will be to choose Gatwick.
Are you also looking at, British carriers trying to connect India to UK through Gatwick?
Certainly, we are having those conversations. I think if it's possible, we would definitely want to welcome anyone who's willing to put in services into India.
And Stephanie, if you're looking at India, of course, Delhi, Bombay is a great market as far as direct connectivity is concerned. But are you also? I see that because you are also connected to smaller places like Kochi, Amritsar, Ahmedabad, Goa, right? So are you also looking at these smaller, what we call in India, the tier 2 and the tier 3 cities, the smaller cities?
We do. And I always find it funny when they call them the tier 2 cities, because the tier 2 cities in India are huge, right? These are large populations that want to travel. So yes, absolutely. We want to continue to grow and expand into the tier 2 cities, as well as, adding Delhi and Bombay.
Are there any other cities other than the ones that you're already flying at? Are there any other cities in your wish list from India which you think has great potential, but right now you have not been able to tap?
We think almost any city that is served by carriers would have potential to fly into Gatwick right now, just because of the depth of the population in the country. So we should look forward to adding more destinations very soon.
And also about, could you also talk about a little about, how the Indian aviation industry has developed, and of course, how India has developed so many airports. That is, giving. There's a new airport in Goa, and then there are other airports coming up, and then which helps to connect these smaller towns and cities to other larger international destinations.
I mean, it's such an interesting time for aviation in India, and it's incredible to watch and to be a part of as well. It's not just all of these new airports, but look at what this huge project that Air India has taken on and merging with Vistara, and look at Indigo's recent success and them now wanting to bring wide bodies into their fleet. I mean, it's an incredible time and a really amazing story of how quickly you can revitalize a sector and make it grow.
And Stephanie, I wanted to ask you about this. India is set to have second airports for major cities soon, Delhi and Bombay, right? And you come from an industry where, London, you have Stansted, you have Heathrow, you have Gatwick. So do you think that collaboration or competition between airports serving the same catchment area works better?
I think competition is a good thing, particularly in huge population areas like London. It's the largest aviation market in the world, and huge population areas like in India. Competition is ultimately good for the consumer, and that's the most important part, right? When you have airports that are competing against each other, that means they'll have more competitive pricing. Airlines will have choices of where they go, so they can make better decisions on time of day. Ultimately, it benefits the consumer, so it's a very good thing.
And but Stephanie, do you also think that slot constraints are an industry-wide issue? How are you looking at that?
It certainly is, and I think the slot reform system needs to change a little bit to reflect modern day aviation and some of these huge populations with really slot constrained airports. There is a need for more capacity. Population is growing, GDP is growing. Every day we become a more global economy, and aviation and connectivity needs to keep up with that. So places that are constrained, that have huge demand, need to be able to grow. They need to be able to grow sustainably, but they need to be able to grow.
Lastly, Stephanie, of course, tell me a little bit about the new connectivity to Bangalore, and how are things shaping up, and what are you looking forward to?
So we're going to welcome them on August 18th. We're very excited. We're going to do a big inaugural here at the airport, and then it'll be 5 weekly services. So again, it is giving our consumers and our passengers in our catchment area the ability to travel directly from Gatwick to Bangalore. I think it's going to be an incredibly successful route. We're thrilled that Air India decided to add that. And I expect that those flights will be quite full starting on day one.
We hope the same as well. Thank you so much for your time, Stephanie, and for sharing your insights with us. It's exciting to hear about Gatwick's plans and the potential for increased connectivity between the UK and India.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Stay tuned for more such conversations. And don't forget to subscribe to the Skift India Travel Podcast in your favorite listening app. If you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any other platform, please subscribe, rate us 5 stars, or leave a positive review. Your support helps us spread the word about the Skift India Travel Podcast and ensures we can keep bringing you free content every week. If you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe to the Skift channel and hit the notification bell to stay updated whenever a new video drops. Thank you for your support.